What's up, everyone? Live here from Costa Rica. Rob, doing my vlog, documenting my journey, and going to catch everybody up on how my trip's going, and talk a little bit about some of the comments and messages I've received lately in regards to this polygyny drum I've been beating, and give you my thoughts on that. But before we get into it, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, please do me a favor, drop a comment, say hello. Let me know that you were here, even if you only catch part of it. And feel free to share this if you like. Maybe I'll say something that can help someone that you care about. So, yeah, today's the start of our second week here in beautiful Costa Rica. We're having a blast. It actually couldn't be going any better. The vacation, I don't know if you want to even call it a vacation because we're working every day, 6 days a week at least. But our trip is going really well. It couldn't be going any better. We start every day by going to the beach, doing our quiet time. She looks for seashells most days, every day, I think. And we finish our evenings by watching the sunset also at the beach. So it's been great. You know, it's been really good. We went fishing one day, caught a huge wahoo on the boat. And the guy that was on there with us let us keep, I don't know, like 2/3 of it, or maybe even like 3/4 of it. So we got all this fish, took it out to a restaurant the other night. They prepped it up for us, and those are always my most favorite meals of the year when I do that. So yeah, so it's going really well. I'm excited to be here. We're also, you know, looking at other opportunities for potentially making a move, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I'll save that for the end of the live. What's up, Mo? How are you? So what I really wanted to talk about today was two things. One, I wanted to tell you about my next episode of my podcast is with a guy named Paul Bauer. He hosts the Come On Man podcast. He's big in the red pill world. He does things with Rollo Tomasi and Rich Cooper and other guys. And we're going to be talking about hypergamy. If you don't know what that term is, it's basically women's desire to date and marry up. They're hypergamous by nature. Like, people have heard of monogamous. Hypergamous just means women want to date a man that has more money than them, you know, more social status, better educated. They rarely want to date down. Men, we don't care so much about that. Actually, we actually don't like it if a woman makes more than us typically, if men feel like it emasculates them. Some, not all men, but most. So yeah, we're gonna have a conversation on that. So check it out. It should be a good episode. But what I really want to talk about was, you know, the amount of negative comments that I've got since I started talking about polygyny. You know, like, I don't know if it's surprising because I knew it was going to be not necessarily a popular message, but what I think bothers me is that what people don't argue from a place of logic or scripture. That's what I do. I present the argument from logically and also scripturally. I'll provide statistics. You know, these are the actual numbers, things that are going on right now. And here's how polygyny would fix those things. Here's how it would play out in the real world. And people don't, you know, specifically women don't like to hear it, so they just attack you personally. They're what they call a straw man argument. They'll just, because they can't defend it logically, you know, what I'm saying, or using the Bible, they'll just go ahead and attack you personally. Oh, you slept with over 500 women. Okay, what does it have to do with what I just said, though? So that's what's a little disheartening. You know, like, if you want to defend it using logic or using scripture, not emotion, not personal attacks. That would be, you know, what I would like to see. Obviously, I don't believe that they can, so I think that's, you know, that's why they resort to personal attacks. But, you know, God's clearly blessing me right now since I started talking about this. If you look at the way things have worked out in my life in the last, you know, 6-10 months, my financial situation has improved. I got a beautiful girlfriend that was hand-delivered to me by God. I'm in Costa Rica, living my best life. My book is being translated into Bulgarian. You know, I told those guys, I'm like, I just want to let you know, I'm talking about polygyny. I really feel this is where God's leading me. I have to talk about this. I understand if you don't want to publish the book because it's unpopular. And they were like, they was like, let me talk to my business partner, the printer, at the publisher. And then he came back and they published it anyway. So like my life is clearly being blessed, right? Things are just coming to me. Even my coaching program, all my clients, the guys just kind of came to me. I didn't really even search them out. So God's blessing me. So you have to ask why. If I'm talking about something which people say, oh, that's of the enemy and you're being deceived and you're just doing this for attention, why would God be blessing me if I was doing something that was blasphemous, right? First off, people should know, just look at my life. Look at how I lived my life the last 12 years. I built an organization that was all about bringing people to church and to Jesus, and I never got paid for it. I dedicated my life to that thing for the last, 8 years. And then I grew a church, Epic, almost single-handedly doubled that church. And they didn't even support me. Not barely supported CityFam financially or me financially, but really not in any other way. No kind of covering or prayed for us or anything. It was just kind of like, we were off doing our own thing for them, benefiting them, but without a lot of help. And, why'd I do that? Because I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for Him. I was doing it for God. So I've lived my life very carefully. I've completely surrendered to Him. People should know that I'm not out here recklessly preaching some message that's blasphemous. So my life's completely surrendered to Jesus, right? So I'm very sure that what I'm saying is accurate. You don't have to believe me, but what I would challenge anyone to do is just look for yourself. Research it. I post a lot of things, and give me a specific rebuttal where these people got it wrong, because they're very detailed. Now, what you've been told, you're just going off what you've been told your whole life, right? Or what you feel about the situation. Like, no way would I ever date a man that allowed that, right? So I posted something the other day that said, considering that polygyny is a man's inherent birthright, remember how displeased God was with Esau for forfeiting his birthright, because Esau was the firstborn. He forfeited his birthright, and God hated him for it. Why? Because what he did was weak, right? He pussed out, and he gave up his birthright to his younger brother. And if you look at the lineage, the covenant line, Esau's not mentioned. He says, I'm the God of Isaac, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's the younger son. So Esau got left out because God hated him for that. So, men, what I challenge you to do is don't forfeit your birthright. The Bible says, Exodus 21:10 says, if a man takes a second wife, God regulates it. God doesn't regulate sin, okay? He doesn't regulate sin. So the fact that He regulated this means that it is your right to do it. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it, but don't forfeit your right to do it, because at that point you are acting like Esau. I would say the majority of men will never do it. Probably 95% of men would never do it. But they have the right to, and they should always reserve that right, because that sets them up for a successful marriage, because it lets the wife know who's in charge. I'm the man, I'm the boss, I have the right, you do not. A woman doesn't have the right to be jealous of a man. If you look in the Bible, there was something called a jealousy test, where a man could submit his wife to a jealousy test if he felt jealous of her. There was no jealousy test for a man. A woman couldn't submit her. A woman has no right to be jealous of a man, actually. And women don't like to hear this, but they don't. I'm sorry if the truth hurts. So, yes, a man does have the right to polygyny. Doesn't mean he should do it, but he's allowed to, and God's fine with it. And I'm going to keep beating this drum probably until the day I die, because of what not knowing it cost me. So, my girl got a couple messages from people that, whoever, I don't know how they found her, probably looked her up and tried to find out who she was, DM her, and sent her these long messages about why she shouldn't date me and all this bullshit. And I kind of find it funny, first off, because these people clearly aren't happy with their own lives. Because what person goes out of their way to do that if they're happy with their own life? You're like, no, come be single and miserable again. My girl has told me multiple times, I've never been this happy in my life. We're down here in this beautiful place where, as far as I know, it's the first guy that she's ever dated for a long period of time that's waited, that's committed to not having sex before marriage. Led her closer to God, enjoying this beautiful place. Never been happier. No, be single and miserable with us. play a game of musical chairs with the rest of the Christian women in the world, hopping, you know, or worse yet, hopping on the fucking cock carousel, jumping from dick to dick, trying to find a husband, trying to find a guy that likes the pussy enough that'll marry you. That's what women are doing now, even Christian women. Or they're just playing a game of musical chairs. Because again, 20 million more women in the church than there are men. So they're mathematically impossible for them to find a husband. And what we do is we give them the gift of singleness bullshit. Oh, just enjoy the gift of singleness. As if that's supposed to make the fact that they don't have a husband, they have no companion, they're not having sex, some of them, most of them are actually, or they don't have a child, and that's supposed to make it feel better because you have the gift of singleness. All those lonely Friday and Saturday nights where you're sitting around by yourself, just enjoy the gift of singleness. The Holy Spirit will take care of you. It's horseshit. This is not how it was supposed to be. Women are supposed to get married. They're supposed to be covered their whole life. Nothing is worse for society than a bunch of women running around that can't find husbands. Because what do? They fornicate. And then guess what? They make babies. And those babies grow up in fatherless homes. And those kids turn out to be criminals or degenerates because they drop out of high school and they're depressed and they use drugs. And look it up the stats. These are numbers, people. The fact is, like, what blows me away is, like, you see people, I'll post something that's just so common sense. Like, look, women have a hard stopper in their biological clock. Men do not. We can make babies till we die. Oh no, that's not true. That's a myth. Like, men can't, you know, their sperm starts to die after 40. Like, first off, it's not a myth. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro both just had babies. One's like 84 years old, the other's 79. When's the last time you saw an 80-year-old woman have a baby? I don't think there ever's been one. So, like, no, it's not. This is common sense. But the fact that there's no personal accountability with these women. Everybody thinks that they're going to beat the numbers. Like, just because these are the numbers, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to, all fatherless homes, it's going to be, no, I'm not saying everybody, but the numbers are what the numbers are. You know, like, you can't change that. If it says 80% of people that are incarcerated came from fatherless homes, that means 80% of the people that are incarcerated came from fatherless homes. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed. You have a slim shot of your child, you know, not being one of those people, but the numbers are what the numbers are. And people get mad that you tell them the truth. It's like you'd rather someone tell you a lie that made you feel good versus telling you the truth that would maybe stung a little bit in the moment, but would help you down the road. You know, like, I'd rather have that. Just give it to me straight. If it's, I might not want to hear it now, but if it saves my life, please let me know. Yeah, so as far as that goes, with people messaging her, what I told her is, like, look, if someone can talk you out of being with me, you're never mine. You know, like, then I wouldn't want you anyway. Because she sees who I am. You see little glimpses, you know, some people in here are probably my friends, but most of y'all see what I choose to show you. You don't see me. You know a little bit. You know, she sees me. She's seen my life. She knows who I am. She knows my heart. And I'm like, if some stranger can message you and talk you out of being with me, I don't care. Because I've been told by other people that are polygynous, they're like, don't show her. Hide her. And I did for a little bit. But I'm not going to hide. Because this is what people have done in this movement, in polygyny. People have been practicing polygyny for a long time. And what they do is they hide because the public shames them like they're trying to shame me. And I'm not even doing it. I'm just talking about it. And because it makes their life easier to hide, right? Because they don't have to deal with all the bullshit. But when I look at, like, what the homosexual movement did back in the 60s or whenever, at some point they were like, fuck this, right? They got tired of it. And they started marching. They're like, screw this. You're not going to beat us up anymore and arrest us and persecute us anymore. And they were able to make changes. Now look, I'm not condoning that. I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying I respect what they did, okay? And it's time for people that know that this is the truth, that know that polygyny is, in fact, fine by God, and the fact that the prescriptive monogamy doctrine is false and the damage that it's done. It's time for you motherfuckers, excuse my language, to speak out. Who cares what it costs you? I don't care if people criticize you and shame you. Speak out, because it's hurting other people. I saw a stat the other day, and I posted this. By the year 2030, that's only 6 years away, half of the women, 25 to 45, pretty much adult women, are going to be single and childless. Think about that. Half. Why? Because marriage is dead. Why? Men don't want to get married anymore under prescriptive monogamy. Why? Because there's nothing in it for them. There's really, what's in it for me? I could go out and fuck all the girls, or I can sign up to screw one girl and risk you taking half my shit when we divorce, and there's a 56% chance of that happening right now. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, let me just go out and get married, right? That's what men think, right? It doesn't work. They're not doing it anymore. Something's got to change. Now, what I believe, and what I've said many times, is that polygyny is the answer. Why? Because you only got a certain amount of good, godly men out there. And you got to get those good, godly men to cover more than one woman, because those women need covering, or else they're just going to continue to fornicate looking for husbands on that cock carousel, like I just mentioned. You got to get more of these good, godly men to marry these women and cover them and take care of them and raise good, godly children. That was always God's plan. You know, that's the best tool. The biological family is the best tool for us as believers, as true Jesus followers, to populate heaven. Well, to take over the world and populate heaven. That it really is. It's our best chance. Why? I was at the Biblical Families Retreat, and I saw this guy, George. He had two wives. One wife that he had probably for 20 years, and he had this young wife. And they had kids anywhere from like a little baby up to like 18 or 19. 10 kids he had. They were all sitting there, and I'm watching them across the room, and they were all worshiping together. And the women are passing the baby between them, the little baby, and there's a toddler, and then there's, and I was like, and I'm watching this guy, and he's sitting there, he's like the patriarch of his family, he's just sitting there in the middle of these 10 people, and they're all worshiping, and I'm thinking, how is that wrong? How is that wrong? This man is leading all these people to God. And I look at the opposite, and I look at the world and the brokenness everywhere, the rate of divorce, and all the fatherless homes, and, you know, the degeneracy, and all, you know, how many people are even believers anymore? Like, it, and I'm like, and that's what you're saying. Oh, no, it's monogamy. It's prescriptive. It's monogamy only. It's a mess. It's a mess. So, yeah, I would challenge anybody to go back and study it for themselves. And just to conclude that part, you know, like, what I told my girl is, I said, you know, like, I'd rather not receive messages like it, because she doesn't want to get them. It's not going to change her mind. She's in love with me. But, you know, like, what I said to her is like, do you want to be happy, or do you want to care what other people think? You know, because that's really what it comes down to. Because, yeah, you could go along with everybody else and do what the world does and not get any messages and be, you know, miserable like the rest of most people. Just be miserable, you know, single and miserable. Join the rest of the single ladies, the 20 million women in church that can't find a husband. You could do that, right? That's the alternative. So, you know, one thing I thought about the other day was like, women are supposed to follow their man, right? As he follows the Lord. Okay? That's the chain of command. And I can't quote a verse, but I know it is. God, Jesus, man, woman, children. So women are supposed to follow their man as he follows the Lord. And Jesus said something. He said, you know, if anyone would come after me, he must die to himself. He must crucify himself daily. Okay, so you have to die to yourself. He also said, if you don't love me more than you love your father and your mother, you're not worthy to be my disciple. So he said that. He's like, you're just not worthy to be my disciple if you don't love me more than your own parents. That's pretty ballsy to say that, right? That's the way I'm like, look, I'm going to take really good care of any woman I marry, whether it's one or if it's more than one. I'm going to take really good care of them. And if I'm like, if someone can talk you out of being with me, you're not worthy to be my wife. You're not worthy. You know, like, it sounds cocky, right? Maybe what Jesus said sounded cocky too, to his followers. Like, if you're not gonna, he's telling you, look, you got to be all in if you want to be with me, right? That's the way I feel. Like, you're going to take some shit. If God leads me down this path and I actually do marry more than one woman, you're going to take some darts. You're going to take some arrows in your back. But if you're not willing to do that, then you're not worthy to be my wife. Maybe that sounds cocky, but that is the way that I feel, because I know that what I bring to the table. I'm going to treat them really well. I treat her really well, which is why she's still here, you know. So I'm having this guy on my podcast in 2 weeks. His name is Casey Jones. He's an Australian guy. He's got 6 wives. He's an ex-military guy over there. He's an ex-porn star, I believe, an adult film star, and he was really big in the BDM. And I don't even know what that stands for, but it's like the dom sub community, where there's like, it's probably like the dominant versus submissive, like, sex stuff. And anyway, I was introduced to him through Rich Cooper, who was the last guest on my podcast, and Rich is very famous in the red pill world. And Rich told me, he's like, yeah, this guy was big in the BDM dom sub world, and he's probably got a body count in the several hundred, maybe even thousands. So he said that, and I was like, okay, no big deal. I didn't think about it, but I was thinking about this yesterday, and I'm thinking about what I'm doing and what the guys in my coaching program. By the way, I have a coaching program for Christian men who want to find wives. Some of them want to find wives under monogamy, some under polygyny. But they're all waiting. They're all waiting to have sex until marriage, like I am. And I'm like, if you think about, like, so I was thinking about this guy, Casey, with the 6 wives, and I'm going to have him on in 2 weeks. So it'll be an interesting conversation. You guys should check it out. But this guy went out, and I'm sure he fucked these girls, these 6 girls. He was probably fucking them on the regular, to be honest. And one by one, I'm guessing, I'll find out the whole story, he married these women. Now he's got 6 wives. So I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's so much easier to do it the way that he did it versus the way that we're doing it. The way that we're doing it is really difficult because we aren't screwing the girls. We're waiting. Because what happens when you sleep with a girl is she gets attached to you. So she's more likely to put up with some shit from you or do something that's a little bit more than she would normally do. Because I know that after I've had sex with girls, I could get away with a lot more because they became attached, right? This is why you get 80% of the women sleeping with 20% of the men, because at some point they just tolerate it. They tolerate bad behavior after they have had sex with you, okay? So I'm like, it'd be so much easier to do that. I could go out and sleep with girls right now and then say, hey, listen, just, look, the only way you're going to get me is the only way you're going to marry me is if you're one of 3 wives or whatever the number is. But I'm not doing that. I'm telling girls straight up front, this is what I believe. And if you're going to be with me, we're not going to have sex until we get married. And there's a possibility that's going to be a plural marriage. That's pretty hard to do. You got to be a real G to pull that off. So, like, I really respect the guys in my program because the fact that they're taking a stand for what's right and they're doing it the hard way. Not to say that, no disrespect for this Casey Jones guy, because that is the way that most people are doing it. And I don't, I'm not taking anything away from him at all, because I'm sure even, what he's doing to keep 6 women happy probably takes a lot. But the fact that to get himself into that position, the way he got there was a hell of a lot easier than the way that we're doing it. When you are not having sex till marriage and you're telling girls up front, this is what I want, it's a possibility it's going to be this way, that's much more difficult. So, yeah, anyway. Let me go through the comments here real quick before I catch you up on my Costa Rica trip and see if there's anything I want to address. Jimmy Akers, what's up, Jimmy? Jason Webb, Heather Morrison, how are you? Whoops, sorry about that. Heather said, I consider that it could be something God maybe used to challenge religious thinking. However, the Bible does not command polygyny as righteousness. Here's the deal. The burden of proof is on you guys, Heather. It's not on us. Everyone's saying polygyny is a sin. Show us. The burden of proof is on you. You have to prove that it's a sin, and you can't using scripture. Because what I see is God regulated it in Exodus and in other places. And what I also see is all the greats in the Bible practiced it. So if you're saying that it changed somewhere along the line, or it's sin, or he frowned upon it, he tolerated it, he accepted it, all the bullshit, show me. The burden of proof is on you, not on me. Melody Underwood, Andy DeCoker, Julie Ann. Okay, Heather posted a verse. In the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. Great verse. I don't disagree. That doesn't prove monogamy, though. Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Does that mean you can't love two of your neighbors? Of course not. That's a ridiculous argument. It's a principle. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love all your neighbors as you love yourself. Just like that verse. That's how you are to love your wife or wives. Joel Ruff. What's up, old friend? Pam Addy. Constance Powell. Hey, Connie. How are you? Who do you think you are messaging her? She's a grown woman, and if she didn't want to be with him, she wouldn't be. Jesus, God, leave her alone. Appreciate that, Kimberly. Thank you. I mean, it is really ridiculous. Somebody, obviously, that's unhappy in their own life. Diane Hood. Hey, Diane. Ali Sadeghi. Tamara Bradford. Amanda Marie. Hey, Amanda. How are you? Jessica Rose. What's up, Jessica? Amanda Magno. Steve Downey. What's up, Steve? Mona Friedman. Charm City Countdown. Heather Rawls. Gregory Dash, Natasha, I can't pronounce that last name, Robert Busick, Todd Gorey, what's up, Todd? How is Thailand treating you? Alicia Gainey. Todd says, Big Rob, I'm stuck in love and a love triangle and have two women chasing me day and night. How do I get them both to live with me? They both want to, but only if they have me to themselves. Man, that's a good one. Well, I mean, I did this podcast with Hondo Solomon. He's a polygamist. He wrote the Polygamist Papers, a book on Amazon, not a long book, but you got to stand in it. I mean, no woman is going to say, oh yeah, I want this, and cheer you on. Not no women, but very few women are going to necessarily cheer you on. Why? Because there's competition, right? Like, let's be honest, our flesh doesn't want competition. Why? It makes it harder. This is what KGB, the football player, said. He said, what I love to be, he was an ex-NFL Green Bay Packer. And he said, would I have loved to be the starting lineman? And the coach say, guys, you got the, the coach say to him, you got the position. It's all yours. Don't worry. It's your position. You're going to play every Sunday. You got nobody that's going to take your job. Don't even sweat it, guy. Of course, he's like, of course, I would have loved that. I would have loved it in my flesh. But because he knew that there were people trying to take his job, it made him a better player. And it pushed him to be the best that he could be. So what you have to do, Todd, like Hondo talks about, is you just got to stand in it, bro. Sometimes, not even sometimes, the most powerful negotiating position is the ability to leave, okay? Is the ability to walk away. If you have the ability to walk away from a situation, that is the best negotiating position. Because, for whatever reason, whoever cares the least is always in control. So if you're like, look, this is what I want. I mean, if you're in love with them both, you just have to tell them and say, listen, I love you both. I mean, you and then what I would do is, and say, I'm not gonna leave her for you, and you got to tell the other one the same thing. And then at some point, introduce them together and see if they can get along. I tell you what, I don't want chaos in my life. I'm not gonna bring in a second wife that's gonna make my life harder or my wife's life harder if I'm married, my first wife. I'm not going to bring in a girl just so I can have sex. I mean, think about how much easier it is to just go out and do what most people do, which is fornicate. You won't get all the shit from the world, right? It's better to be a degenerate because nobody's going to give you shit for that. And you don't have to take care of the girl either, right? But this is way different. This is way harder. You're responsible for that girl now. So if you're in love with them and this is really what you want, then you just got to stand in it and not be afraid to lose them if they say, well, I don't. Okay, sorry. I love you. I hate to see you go. But you're not going to change my mind. So that's what I would recommend. Rand Dorman, what's up, brother? Whoops. Where is all your wives, actually? Do it if you believe. Stop talking about it. If that's what you believe, stop wasting time. I'm working on it, Violet. But, I believe that you should secure one. I'm not going to go out and try to marry 2, 3, 4 women at one time. I don't think that's smart. It'd be like trying to start multiple businesses at the same time. You got to get, things in place, make sure things are running right before you bring in another. I don't want her to feel any kind of way about it. Now, will she feel some kind of way about it? Probably. But I'm going to make sure that we're good first. You know, everything is working well, and that she feels secure and she knows how much I love her before I go out and work on a second. Seriously. I mean, before I seriously put time into finding a second. If that is even what God does, he may not. Maybe he just has me talking about this. I don't know. We'll see what he wants to do. But I pray about everything, and I don't do anything without asking him. So we'll see. Who I marry and when I marry will be all up to God. And I'll keep you guys posted. I'll just keep doing these lives. What's up, Cindy? Cindy, right? Or is it Cynthia? Cynthia. I think it's Cindy. Cynthia. Anyway, how are you? Amanda, hey. Hey, Rob. Leah, Joey, Guy, Shelly, Rochelle. Violet says, marry 20 women and think you're not going to have chaos with a bunch of women. Oh, never going to happen. Yeah, do you speak from experience, Violet? I don't know. Do you know somebody that has 20 wives? Or are you just speculating? Yeah, so that's kind of it. That was mostly what I wanted to talk about. You know, like, I don't know. I think about some of the responses I got from some of the things. You know, like, sometimes I'll post something that I think makes so much sense. It's completely logical. Not I think. It's completely logical, and people will come back with something. I think I posted something about, what was it about? Oh, somebody said, because I was promoting polygyny as a way to fix the fatherlessness. And they said, well, aren't step parents like 20 times more likely to molest a stepchild than a biological parent? And I'm like, yeah, that's actually true, which proves polygyny. Why do I say that? Because why do people get divorced? Sometimes because what happens is sometimes the man steps out, he cheats, or maybe the woman falls in love, or whatever. They fall in love with someone else, and then they leave the first wife. That's usually a lot of times what happens, or the man will be unfaithful, and then the wife will fall. And this is exactly what Martin Luther said: is that polygyny is better than divorce, and it's better than fornication. So what Paul preached against was serial monogamy. Being in one monogamous relationship and then hopping to another. We weren't supposed to do that. There was never supposed to be divorce. But you can take multiple wives. Think about Matthew 19. Jesus said that Moses permitted divorce because of the hardness of their hearts, but it was not this way from the beginning. Okay, so there was not supposed to be a divorce. But in Exodus 21:10, he says if a man takes a second wife. So you're not supposed to ever leave your first wife, but you can take a second if you so choose, which again, biology supports. Think about it. Men can make babies until we die. Women stop making babies when they hit 40. Why would God do that? Think about it. Why would God have set it up that way? He's the one that wired all this. He's the one that set this whole system up. And for some reason, he gave man the ability to make babies until they're old men. And he had women's biological clock stop at a certain point. He also made younger women attracted to older men, and he made older men attracted to younger women. Why did God do that? Why did God give a man the ability to make hundreds of babies a year, but only a woman the ability to make one baby a year? It's everywhere. When you look around, it's everywhere. Why are women attracted to men who already have girlfriends? Women want what other women want or have. And this is proven across the animal kingdom. Even with chimpanzees. When there's a male chimpanzee without a woman, none of the girls want him. But when he's got a woman, other girls want him. Why is that? Because God set all this up. You know, it's out there. It's everywhere. When you start looking at it through this lens, you can't help but see it everywhere. Why do women have competition anxiety? You know? Anyway. So Costa Rica trip is going well. Looking at some opportunities down here, thinking about potentially buying something, maybe doing like an Airbnb or linking up with an intentional community down here. Really not liking the way that I see the country going, America. Also that combined with some of the things God told me that are going to happen as far as with the economy and foreign conflict, which I've talked about many times. Just not sure I want to be in the country when all the shit hits the fan. So I'm looking at opportunities here. I'm also going to Dominica Island, which is this island in the Caribbean. I'm going there in May with a group of believers, a group of Christians that are trying to start a community there. And so I'm kind of weighing both of those options, and I think there's a good chance that I'll choose one of those, or maybe both. Maybe I'll be able to pull both off somehow. Whatever I do, I'll definitely document it, and there is a possibility that Dominica Island opportunity will be open for other people, because they're going to build a community. That's what they're trying to do, is build, maybe buy 100 acres of land and build, 50 houses on it or whatever. So I'll let you guys know. I don't know. I know there's got to be other people feeling the way that I'm feeling about America right now, with everything that's going on with the southern border and all the woke bullshit. And I saw on Instagram today that some woman in New York City was arrested at her own house because she tried to kick a squatter out. Like, she owned the house and they arrested her because she was trying to kick a squatter out of her own house. And I'm like, I can't believe the way the country's going, that people lost their damn mind. So, yeah, I mean, you don't see that down here. Like, if you go try to break in somebody's house, I'm sure they'll shoot you in Costa Rica, and no one will get in trouble for that. So I want to live somewhere that people got their head on straight, so we'll see. Or, maybe there's a possibility I just move to, like, Florida or Texas or something, too. But, I also posted something about the inflation rates the other day. Just continuing to remind people to get your money out of cash. If you have large sums of cash, transfer it into crypto, precious metals, possibly real estate. I don't know a lot about real estate. I think there's a chance that real estate market could come down. But I think real estate and crypto and precious metals are probably pretty safe investment. And hyperinflation is coming. I know that for a fact, based off of what God told me, that the dollar was going to collapse. And they also printed like 60% of the money that's currently in our supply just got printed in the last 18 months, I think. So it's coming, guys. The money's going to continue to devalue the dollar. So don't be sitting on large amounts of cash in the bank, or you're going to get burned. If you need help investing in precious metals, I have a great relationship with a rep at Monex that I use. They have low minimums and small fees, and if I refer you, you get a little extra bonus. So just, you can DM me for that. Just DM me the word silver or gold, and I'll send that to you. But I also got a Patreon account that I started recently. If y'all don't know what Patreon is, it's a way to support creators, and I give a ton of benefits for any of my Patreon members, where I'm giving them first access to my content. I got this Justin Waller reaction video. It's going up tomorrow. I sent everybody today. But I also give them access to my courses. I got some coaching programs that I put together that'll really help men and women level up. Some of the women, I think Heather Marson did the Proverbs 31 one. But it'll really help you get clear on your purpose and get your morning routine down, get in great shape, just really become the best version of yourself. But that's part of the benefits of being a Patreon member. So if you're interested, if you want to support me, if you want to join some people that are really pursuing excellence, join us on Patreon, and there's other perks there too. You can chat with me on Telegram and some other things. Just go to patreon.com. It's spelled Patreon, not patron, but patreon.com/biblical polygyny, and you'll see all the membership tiers. You can even join for free if you like. There's a free level, and I'd appreciate you doing that. I think that's it. I'm going to try to do one of these a week while I'm here, and catch everybody up. Let me just check the comments one last time before I jump off. Dan Church, what's up, bro? Hey, man, I saw your baptism the other day. Really proud of you. Maddie Banks, what's up, Matt? Tyler Austin, Rachel Levy, Todd Gorey. I just told them both I'll just be alone then if they can't get along, and started packing their stuff. That's a strong move, Todd. That's probably not wrong, actually. Yeah, that's probably the best thing you could have done. Let me know how that works out for you. I'd be curious to hear. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Talk to you later.